What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV. Today I've got a double upload for you as I missed a video yesterday. So getting right into the first video of the day, this is my weapon balance video where I'm going to talk about some of the weapons that I think still need balanced in this game. But apart from these weapons, I think everything else in the game is balanced. Ever since this most recent patch 1.14, which I covered in a couple videos that you can find in the card in the top right corner and in the description box below, a lot of people have been freaking out ever since this patch because they actually touched up some of the more powerful, some of the more popular weapons. VMP, Kuda, Man-O-War all got nerfed, and some of the snipers got buffed. There was a Vesper buff making it actually usable again. So people are freaking out. They're saying like, oh, you shouldn't have touched this weapon. Oh my god, like this is the best weapon in the game. Why did you nerf this and stuff? And people are just losing their minds because they're actually changing the weapons that are most popular now. Normally, these patches only adjust weapons that nobody ever uses because they're trying to make those weapons better so people start using those weapons. But this time, they actually touch the weapons that people use, and people are just freaking out about it. Now they're saying, oh, all these other weapons need buffs and nerfs and stuff now to make it more balanced. But I disagree. There's been stuff going around that people want all kinds of crazy buffs and nerfs. And I really like how David Vonderhaar actually said it on his Twitter page. He was tweeting out the day of the patch 1.14 where people were freaking out at him, and he said, "There's nothing like a weapon tuning to get folks riled up. Guns fall in and out of intended role and design targets, and when they do, we're gonna do something about it. I guarantee that if your job was to keep the game balanced and not beast with your gun of choice, you'd make similar choices." And I cannot agree more. That people just want to have one weapon that's better than everything else and one weapon that everyone's supposed to use and just be the best. I think that's ridiculous. All of the weapons should have a fair chance in their respective areas. Like, if you're using a longer range weapon, yes, it's got to be weak at short range. If you're using a shorter range weapon, yes, it's got to be weak at long range, and etc., etc. So I like how they're trying to make even the most popular weapons fair to use. Like, the most popular weapons, VMP, Kuda, Man-O-War, these weapons have been so overpowered for so long, and I like how they're finally touching them up. But these final 6 or 7 weapons that I have on my list here are weapons that I still think need a buff or a nerf. We're going to start with the nerfs because those are more needed in my opinion. But these are the last things that I can think of that need changed. If you can think of anything else on top of these, let me know in the comment section down below. So starting off with the most overpowered gun in the game, in my opinion right now, the weapon that I'm using in this gameplay, 205 Brecci or Breachy or Brecky or Broccoli, I don't care how you say it, it's overpowered. This thing is insane, and now don't get me wrong, I love this weapon. I think it's absolutely insane. I've been using it non-stop in Nuketown. We're actually going to talk about this weapon and the class that I've been using in a future video. I don't know if that's going to be the second video of the day, but I'm going to talk about tryharding and how it's kind of the season for tryhards is out right now, and just to not get mad at people that are using tryhard weapons. But we're going to talk about that in a future video, but I'm explicitly going to be talking about the Broccoli in that video as well. This weapon is overpowered. This weapon is 100% a tryhard weapon, and it's great for Nuketown. It's great for anything close range, and that's its problem, is that it's so good at close range. It's a 2-shot kill. It can fire very, very, very fast. It's got quite some range for that 2-shot kill. The most shots it's going to take to kill before you get out of its range is 4 shots. It may seem like it's a weak shotgun just from reading the description, saying, oh, it's a 2-shot kill shotgun. Why would I use that when I can use the Argus or the KRM and get a 1-shot kill? But this thing is intense. This thing is extremely powerful. It's very easy to get multi-kills. It's very easy to get all kinds of crazy feeds and all, I don't even know. It's just like the most powerful weapon in the game right now, especially with how they nerf some of the more close range SMGs. This weapon actually has quite a bit of an advantage now over those weapons, and it definitely needs a nerf. I would say nerf the fire rate or the range. This thing can't, like, a lot of the times when they do nerfs, they try and attack something that's not as important just to make it a little bit inconvenient to use. For example, the Man-O-War, they nerfed its aim down sights time and how fast it reloads, just to make it a little inconvenient to use. They're not going to nerf like the damage on it because that would just ruin the weapon altogether. Whereas aim down sights time, reload speed is just going to make it inconvenient. It's just going to make it harder to use when you have to go and you have to make sure you're covered to use your reload and all this other kind of stuff. Whereas this weapon here, the 205 Brecci, or the Broccoli, or whatever you want to call it, I'm just going to call it the Broccoli from here on out. This weapon needs to be nerfed where it hurts. This weapon, if you make the reload slower, it's not going to affect this weapon. If you make whatever, like, you got to attack what this weapon is really good at. Either take down its fire rate just a little bit, shave off the fire rate, make it so it oversamples a little bit quicker, or shave off the range so that it's going to be like a 5-shot kill at longer ranges instead of a 4-shot kill. Maybe just take that 4-shot kill or 3-shot kill right out. Actually, no, you can't take a 3-shot kill out. The 3-shot kill is pretty, it's pretty important on this weapon. So maybe take the 4-shot kill right out, maybe make it drop from 3 to 5 right away. That would really, really impact this weapon to the point where you have to get in a lot closer to use it, and it might make it a little bit better. But I think it would be better to get a fire rate reduction or fire rate nerf, just because this weapon fires pretty quickly, and I mean, it just needs a nerf. It needs a really, really good nerf, and I think fire rate is where to hit this weapon. Next weapon that we need to talk about that needs a nerf is the RK5. This weapon has not had a nerf or a buff or anything since the beginning of the game, and it's always been overpowered. You can one burst with a pistol easier than you can one burst with an assault rifle that is burst fire. So this RK5 is very, very, very powerful, and it definitely needs a nerf. At close ranges, like I said, it can one burst, and when you're not one bursting, you're two bursting people. Like, even across the map, you can two burst somebody with the RK5 if you have the accuracy. This weapon is insane, and I often get outperformed by a pistol when I'm using an assault rifle. Like I said, I'm trying to one burst people with the XR2, the M8A7, and these guys are one bursting me with this pistol, this RK5 secondary, and they're beating me. That should not happen. Like, the pistols should be okay, but they shouldn't be outperforming assault rifles of the same kind of standard. So the RK5, I'd say give it a fire rate nerf or something like that, because a lot of people will just instantly start spamming. Like, I know I said that it's got the problem with one bursting people, but what people will do with it is they'll spam it really, really hard and really fast in your face, and that's what will get you. Like, they'll come around the corner and they'll just be spamming it instantly into you, and it can fire extremely fast. It's got very little fire stop, so it's gonna spam out those bursts like crazy, and you won't have any chance against it. So maybe if they nerf the fire rate a little bit, I think what they really need to nerf on this weapon, because this one isn't as OP as the Broccoli, where the Broccoli needs to be attacked where it hurts. The RK5 can kind of get one of those more inconvenient nerfs where they could really nerf the reload speed on this thing, because it reloads very, very fast. Like, somebody can burst out, I think there's 5 bursts in it. Somebody can burst out all 5 bursts and reload in an instant and start bursting you with 5 more. Whereas if you kind of see somebody shooting those 5 bursts and you want to get away from them, you get away from them and you go around the corner, you get prepared for them to come back around. They already have their weapon reloaded by the time they get there, and they burst at you again. So maybe make the reload speed a little bit slower so that they can't prepare that quickly and attack you again. That might be really good for the RK5. Peacekeeper, I don't even know what to do with the Peacekeeper, to be honest with you, but it is overpowered. I don't have it, so I can't tell you exactly how it's overpowered, but I've used it a couple times, and man, that thing is incredibly, incredibly powerful, and it needs a nerf. Now, I don't want to say that just because I want the Peacekeeper so badly, and probably what will happen is they'll nerf it like so hard, make it completely useless, and then I'll get it the next day. But the Peacekeeper definitely needs a nerf. It is very, very, very powerful, and I don't even know how they would nerf it at this point, because I don't have the weapon to test it long enough to see. So it definitely needs a nerf, but that one would be 100% up to Treyarch, what they got to do with it. Tell me what you guys think about a Peacekeeper nerf in the comment section down below. If you have the Peacekeeper, what do you think needs to be nerfed on it? Because it is incredibly overpowered. Don't lie to me. The FFAR, I don't think that most recent buff was necessary. I think they should take its accuracy back down to what it was before the most recent buff. That was kind of ridiculous, that new buff for its accuracy. It's actually very, very powerful now. It was always a very powerful weapon. Now it's incredibly, incredibly accurate. I think they should just shave that last buff on accuracy just down back to where it was at launch, and I think the FFAR will be okay. The last weapon that needs a nerf, if they nerf the Broccoli, this weapon will definitely need a nerf, but apart from that, it doesn't even need to be touched. only if they nerf the broccoli, because people will gravitate to a different weapon once their favorite weapon has been nerfed. So if they nerf the broccoli, people are going to start gravitating towards the Argus because it's the next best shotgun. And the Argus has an incredibly long range one-shot kill. Absolutely insane long range one-shot kill. Maybe shave that range off just a little tiny bit so that people aren't just sniping with this shotgun. But again, that is only necessary if the broccoli gets nerfed, because not a lot of people use the Argus right now. It's not a big deal, but like I said, people will gravitate towards the Argus if the broccoli gets nerfed. So definitely just keep that one in mind, that the Argus is pretty powerful. If the broccoli wasn't so powerful, you'd see a lot more Arguses on the field. You'd see a lot more people running Argus, because it is a extremely powerful weapon. It requires a little bit more skill than the broccoli, but once you actually get used to it, it's incredibly powerful, and the long range on that thing is literally like sniping with a shotgun. So it definitely needs a nerf as well. Just a little shave off that long range one-shot kill. Moving into the buffs now, we've got two sort of weapons that I think need buffed. The first thing that I think needs a buff is the L4 Siege. It just needs a little bit of damage buff to infantry. I think it's intended to be an infantry kind of launcher. It's not intended to be a launcher that you're shooting up at score streaks and stuff. That's why it's so weak against score streaks. That's why it takes 2 rockets to take down a UAV. So don't even buff it there. It doesn't need to be better at taking down UAVs and taking down score streaks. Just make the damage a little bit higher so that it can actually take out infantry a little bit easier, or make the splash damage wider or something, because it is obviously intended for taking down infantry, but it's not very good at taking down infantry either, because it's so weak. Unless you get a direct impact kill, it's going to be hard to get your infantry kills with the L4 Siege. So maybe if they make the splash damage a little bit bigger, so that when you hit an enemy, or that you hit an area near an enemy, it actually damages out farther with the explosion, that might be good. Maybe increase the overall damage so that it actually will do more damage when it hits those infantry, or when it hits the ground next to them. Maybe buff them both, because the L4 Siege is clearly an infantry or I keep wanting to say LMG or something like that. It's clearly an infantry launcher. It should be more effective at killing infantry. Last thing that I think needs a buff is sort of for all of the melee variants. I find that with the melee weapons in this game, you move very slow. In previous games, it's been like you take out a melee variant and you run almost half as fast. Okay, well, what am I trying to say here? So you run not twice as fast, but like 1.5 times as fast as everybody else. Like you run, if you take, okay, you get the idea. You run faster than everybody else when you're using melee weapons. That's what it's been like in pretty much every other Call of Duty weapon. You usually like run your primary weapon, and then you take out your fists, or you take out your knife and your secondary weapon, and you can run faster. So you can run across the map, you can catch up to people. And using the melee weapons in this game, you're not fast enough. It's impossible to catch people. Everybody is so fast in this game that even when you're using a melee weapon, if you start chasing after somebody, good luck. You'll be chasing them for a good couple hours, because you're never going to catch them. You're running after them with a melee weapon. I've been chasing people with LMGs, and I can't catch them. Like, unless they stop, or unless they slow down for a second, or unless they, I don't know, unless they take a corner or something, you're never, ever going to catch somebody when you're running directly after them with a melee weapon. You have to do that stupid slide thing where you slide and then hop up and slide, like that bunny hop slide thing. And that will just get you caught, because people can hear that in their headsets and whatever, and they'll turn around and shoot at you. So melee weapons, all of the melee variants, increase the run speed just a little bit so that we can actually catch the people that we're chasing. And I think that is just about it for all of my nerfs and buffs that I think need to be happening in Call of Duty Black Ops 3. The rest of the game, incredibly balanced. I think all of the SMGs are really, really well done. All of the assault rifles, except for the Peacekeeper FFAR, are pretty well done. LMGs, even that new LMG, very, very good. I think even though it's very accurate, it's pretty well balanced with the having to wait for your weapon, for your bullets to rechamber and all that stuff. The new sniper rifle may or may not need a buff or a nerf. I'm not sure. I haven't had much hands-on experience with it yet, but if you have, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about that. Also, let me know what you think about the Peacekeeper. What needs to happen to that weapon? Does it need to be nerfed? If so, how do you think it should be nerfed? What other weapons in the game do you think need buffs or nerfs? Remember, don't think of it as, oh, my favorite weapon needs a buff because it's my favorite weapon. Think of it as the more powerful weapons in this game need to be nerfed. Like, think of it like the developers. Think of it like David Vonderhaar, that, okay, this weapon is doing incredibly well. It's just completely dominating every other weapon. It needs to be nerfed, not just because, not the VMP needs to be buffed again because it's everybody's favorite SMG. Don't think of it like that. Think of it like the more powerful weapons in this game need to be nerfed. The weaker weapons in this game need to be buffed. Think of it from a design from a design viewpoint. Don't think of it as my favorite weapon needs to be buffed. I clearly cannot talk today. Hopefully I can get my shit together before the second video. But that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can come back for the second video of the day. Hit the like button as well. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be doing for my second video of the day. I've still got to figure that stuff out. This video is going to take quite a while to process and all that. So I will have my time to think of it. Maybe I'll do a poll on Twitter. So make sure you're following me on Twitter at BlackTideTV. And I might go on there and poll you guys what you guys want to see for the second video of the day. But that is it for my weapon buffs and nerfs weapon balance video. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys on the second video of the day.